everybody's topic of discussion lately has been, especially with the CCNA, route summarization. Not a difficult concept if you understand the basics of subnetting and you can figure out what exactly it is that they're looking for. Now, when it comes to route summarization and the basics to it, it's taking a group of subnets and condensing it down to a single supernet. The concept is really simple. All we're going to do, this is going to be a quick video, nothing complicated, is this. You take a, you take a route, or a group of routes, and let's say this is EIGRP, and by default, it summarizes, unless you type in no auto summary in the router command. So you take this group of routers right here, and you subnet them, or consolidate them down into a single route. Not complicated at all, right? Well, I've had so many people come ask me at work, people ask me at school, people ask me out just randomly on YouTube and Facebook, what is this deal with route summarization? Well, basically it works like this. So imagine you have $100, and you want to take that $100 and you want to divide it. Well, typically if you have $10 or 10 $10 bills, 10 times 10 equals 100, right? That was a horrible 0. 0, 0. So that's basically reversing the process. So what do you want to do if you have multiple routes? You got all these routes right here, and you want to, almost like Mr. Magoo, you want to situate those so that you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, you want to summarize it. So basically what you want to do is this. You need to find out how many routes you need to summarize. So how many bits are in common. Now I'm not going to draw it out like I did on the one video on YouTube, but this is more of a quick reference guide. So basically this is what you want to do. You want to find out what range this group of numbers falls into. I know that's a horrible line as well. But if you can summarize what this group of ranges sits inside of, you can summarize very easily. Same thing with this group up here. I just made it a little more difficult for this one up here. This guy, we'll check with him in a couple minutes. We're going to focus on this one for the moment right here. So basically this is what we're going to do. We're going to find out what 1 through 15 is and how to summarize that. Well, I made it really easy. And I didn't feel like typing it out, as you can see right there. So basically all you're going to do is this. You're going to find out what range at which you're going to subnet. So if you know that you're going to be subnetting all /24s, so this is all /24s, okay? You know that. So basically what you're going to end up doing is you're going to take these routes right here, and you're going to find out which bit placement you can pull the /24 back from to encompass all of these. Because right now /24 only covers this guy right here. Well, how do you encompass all of these? Simple. /24, 254 users, right? Well, 256 minus the base network and the sub and the broadcast. So what you do, you just start peeling back the layers, and you peel back the layers, and you peel back the layers, and you peel back the layers, until you find out what range these guys fit in. Well, maybe some of you are pretty good at subnetting and you've already figured out what range it sits inside of. Well, 1 through 3, the first 3 bits in common, you would simply add up bit placements. These are the bit placements. So this right here equals this. Okay? Actually, if it was a 192, it'd be this guy and this guy turned on. All these guys zeros, right? So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this guy right here. I'm going to get rid of all this other gibberish here. And you're going to take the bit placement here. So if it's a 4, it's going to turn that one on, and that's going to be the only one to get turned on. If you have 5, it's obviously going to be bigger than 4 but smaller than 8. So your range is going to be 8. So you have room to grow. If you're at 15, you automatically know that it's bigger than 8, smaller than 16. So that's going to be your placement. So what you do is this. You go in and you figure out how many bits in common. So 172, 16, that's 8 and 8. So 8 plus 8 equals 16, right? Then you have 16 is what the range encompasses. So you take that range right there and you go, okay, well, what is 16? How many bits do I have to borrow to get to 16? So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? So you go 16 plus 4. 16 plus 4 is 20. Golly, I can't type. Plus 4 is 20. So you know it's going to be a slash 20 is going to encompass this entire route, right? Not difficult at all. Well, what about this guy right here? Is that going to be the same way? Pretty much, except for it won't be at the beginning of your subnet range. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to find out what bit placement this guy covers. So you find out what that covers, and you're able to incorporate that. So what you need to do is you need to find out what 168 and 173 fall in between. So you know you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subnets. I picked these randomly. I had to figure it out while I'm sitting here talking to you guys. Not complicated at all. All you have to do is find out what 168 and 173 sit behind. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. And my computer's in the middle of a backup, so it's going to take up just a minute for it to pull it. IP ranges. Give that a second to pull up. I don't know if you can see it right now, but backup is in progress. Makes my computer run kind of slow. Okay, now that I pulled back up, I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to slide it way over here. And we're going to bring this guy over here, do something like this. So basically what we have here, we have 168 through 173. And it just so happens to be that it falls in, it's got its own range. So we won't be able to, 168 we could use, but what we're going to do is we're going to tweak that a little bit. We're going to go 160 through 175, because that covers gives us a better grip as to what we're going to work with. And that falls under the /16. Go figure. /8, /16. Or I'm sorry. /20, 29, /28. So what we're going to end up doing, that won't be our range, because that'll be breaking it down to this range. We're still in the class B for subnetting, as you can see right here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this right here and we're going to figure out what that range is. So we already know that 160 through 175 is going to be the range. So that makes it easy for us. That's how you're going to want to subnet it. You're going to want to go 0 through 15, 16 through 31. So your beginning range is going to be 0, 16, 32, 48, 64, 80, 96, 112, on down the range until you get 160. So 160 through 175 encompasses everything that we need to look at. We could do /27 or a 32 range, but that encompasses too much. This one encompasses just enough. Well, actually, it's a little too much, but we're going to go with it. You could either do this guy or this guy. It really doesn't make a difference. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to find out what range. Well, we already know what the range is because we already figured that out. So 240, so it's 16. So we know it's 16. So it's going to be our subnet mask. Well, it's going to be a /20 for this one as well. Didn't even know that when I first started out. We could do a /21, but this range right here won't be able to be used because that's going to be the base subnet. So we'll be able to use 169 through 174 or 173. So we're going to go with the /20 because it gives us some more flexibility. So we got that /20, so it's going to be 255.255.240. So when you're under EIGRP and you reference 160, you're going to type in IP, or you're going to type in IP summary address, or summary route, I believe is what the command is, and then you're going to note this, subnet mask, because then it'll know what to send. Because if you type in no auto summary, it will automatically list all the subnets in there. If you automatically summarize it, it's going to summarize it down to something else. So that's summarization. I mean, that's basically all there is to it. Not much more to it. I mean, it could get more complicated than that. Now, one other step. What happens if you 16, 17, and 18 got added? Well, that's real simple too. If it doesn't fit inside of the subnet range, so we were using 16 for both of them, just happened to be that's what it was. So 16 was the range that we're using. Well, 16 would bring this guy into play. Well, what happens if you go and you add 16, 17, and 18? Well, you could move it over to the 32 and make it the 32 range, but that's going to encompass 19 through 31. It's going to be too much. Way too much. I mean, you could do it. No one says you can't, but your best bet would be to leave it at the 16 like it is right now, and just add this route, and this route as their own individual routes. And as you add 20 through, 31, as you grow, then you can simply take this guy and migrate one bit placement over to this guy, make it a /32, or I'm sorry, a 32 as your range, and or /19, and encompass 172, it'd be 172 16 or 172 16.0.0/21, or I'm sorry, 19, and then it's going to know that it encompasses 0 through 32. And then it'll go from there then, or I'm sorry, through 31, and .255. And then you'll have 32 through 63, and then 64 through 95, so on and so forth. Route summarization.